All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Wells Goltra here for Broadcast Journalism 103, and I'm joined by Matt Komo, filmmaker, photographer, director, and Dodge alumni. Matt, thanks for being with me. How you doing?
Go, baby. Happy to be talking to you today. I love it.
And I guess I was just wondering, because, you went to Chapman, you went to Dodge. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about your experience while you were here, kind of what you were involved with, how you enjoyed it, and just some of the things you like doing while you were here.
With Dodge or with Chapman?
Ooh, both. Let's do both.
Okay. So obviously went to film school. I majored in film production, and then you have an emphasis. So mine was cinematography. And then I also minored in advertising. Then that's on like the Dodge side. And then on the Chapman side, I was kind of one of the founding members for Beta Theta Pi, the fraternity there. So when I was there, it was the first year that they were on campus. And Chapman for me was freaking fantastic. I loved every single second of it. I always say that like I kind of like matured physically and creatively a little bit like later in my life. And I feel like those 4 years that I was there was like the perfect time for me to really kind of come into my own and just like develop into like the person that I am today. And it's really hard to say where I'd be in my career and life if I didn't go there, to be completely honest. Like it kind of changed the trajectory for me in a very significant way. Absolutely.
And what types of things were you, like film projects, were you doing at Chapman? Were you like involved with stuff on campus and off campus, or mostly just involved with stuff here?
It's a fantastic question. I was doing everything that my classes needed of me. So all the projects that were involved with like visual storytelling, for example, and I took a bunch of like digital arts classes. So that was a lot of like my creativity inside the school. And then I was doing a lot of stuff for the fraternity and different things. And I was a big part of the ski and snowboard club there. I don't know if they still have that there, but I was doing like all the videos for that and doing all like the merch and whatnot. So that was like inside the school. And then pretty much during my 4 years there, it wasn't full time, but I pretty much damn near had like a full-time job. I was working between, 25 to 40 hours a week for this racing company called John Force Racing, which was like this drag racing company essentially. And I would do all their marketing and advertising and videos and stuff. So I work a lot now, and I was definitely working and burning the candle on both ends back then too. So, yeah.
Do you think that like taking on jobs while you were there kind of helped you like get like transitioned into life after Dodge, like making those connections? Was that a big part of college for you?
Well, I think there's two parts there. On the connection side, definitely. I still to this day talk to so many kids that I went to school with, film school specifically, and we work together on a million different things. And like those connections in and of itself, like are worth its weight in gold. Because there's something there, there's like a nuance there where you're like, yeah, we were like boys when we were like 19, and there's so many stories that you tell each other from when you're like, running around Chapman doing different things. So that's on the connection side. And then on the other part of your question, I don't think there is a substitute for real world experience. So actually like working and taking the things that I was learning in class and then translating it into like a real life job where like I have real responsibility was paramount for my development.
Absolutely. And so like kind of the values, like were there any values that you think you picked up at Dodge and Chapman about like work ethic, or is that more so developed like from those experiences?
I think those were more so developed just from my upbringing and from my family, my dad specifically. And from a very, very, very early age, he instilled just a strong work ethic and being a leader and always doing your best. And like, still to this day, like that has never left me. So I don't think that is a direct correlation from necessarily going to Chapman, because I'm sure, as you know, there's a lot of kids that go to college, not just Chapman specifically, who kind of just like ride off that 4 years there and don't really take advantage of everything. So yeah, I would say it's definitely my upbringing is what cultivated that work ethic.
Love to hear it. And like those values and things that your parents and family instilled in you as a kid, are those like messages that you try and put into your videos and films today? Do you try and like pass those on?
100%. I mean, I've had a very interesting career. So obviously there's like the stuff I do for artists and brands and the stuff I did at GoPro for 3 years. And then there's also like the personal branding side of things, which is, that's probably how you found out about me, was through like YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff. And, that's really an opportunity to kind of inject a bit more of like my own personal belief system into like the content that I'm creating. And I really do try my best to like, without being overbearing, but like put out a good message into the world of, you have to work hard, you got to like strive for things, you got to set goals. And, I think that I would hope that's pretty apparent just through the videos that I put out, and also just like, the small following that I've been able to cultivate over the years. I mean, obviously the message resonated enough with you that like it inspired you to, pick up a camera and actually pursue it as a career and even go to the same school. So I guess it is working.
Yeah, absolutely. It's working. And then I think that was interesting what you touched on about like how you have so many different types of projects and things that you immerse yourselves in. And I guess I was wondering, like, how do you balance a healthy mix of like stuff for social media, stuff for fun, stuff for work? Like, what does that look like for you?
That's definitely, it's a challenge, because I am pulled in a lot of different directions all the time. So, you really just got to like prioritize what's important to you. And like, that's always changing. And that took me a long time to figure out, like, this week might demand a bit more of me on like my personal branding side than it does on the commercial side. Next week or next month might be more on like the artist and musician and touring side. So kind of like a good rhetoric my dad taught me growing up. He's like, you can only really balance a couple things at a single time. And he's like, just focus on like the 3 to 5 most important things that you can at a time, and just swap them in and out, as your attention needs to shift. So that would be the first part, or the first answer to that question. And then the second part to that is, it also is somewhat dependent on how directed like my medium to long-term goals are. So for example, for the last like 2.5 years, I've been making a film about like my grandpa, his battle with Alzheimer's. That took a lot mentally and emotionally and creatively to pull off. So like that for me, and like the things that I'm balancing, was a priority. So I turned down a lot of work. I turned down a lot of commercials and different things. So it's kind of like there's an ebb and a flow to it, and there's no like right or wrong answer. It's just whatever is important to you and, facilitates the direction you're trying to go in.
Absolutely. And for those, like for people that might not know about the film, could you just talk a little bit about the film briefly, and also when it might be coming out to the public?
Yeah, so the long story really short, last year I premiered, the film's called A Forgotten Life, to like 600 plus people at the Directors Guild of America in Los Angeles. That was about a 2.5-year project. It's about my grandfather and his battle with Alzheimer's. And it's kind of like a hybrid between a doc, a narrative. We're both in it. And kind of the catalyst, or I guess the inspiration behind that was, I graduated Chapman and then immediately started working for GoPro for 3 years. And I ended up becoming the head of social content there. So pretty much anything that you would see that was on their social platforms, or even to the things that you would see like in displays at like a Target or Best Buy or whatever, I was pretty much creative directing a lot of that. Post that, then I started doing stuff in the music business and was going on tour and traveling the entire world. And the point that I'm trying to make is, between like 21 and 25, my life just was on like a rocket ship and kind of just blew up. Family is a really important value to me, and I always wanted to create something about my grandfather because he was kind of one of the closest people to me in my life. And he ended up falling in July of 2019, which kind of like really was the gasoline on the fire that exacerbated his, Alzheimer's condition. And I just said, fuck it, I'm putting everything on hold. Like, I need to tell this story. I need to do this. So that was like really the inflection point in my life to, spend almost 2 years making that project. So it's about to come out. I actually today have to just finish like the website for it. I have a bunch of merch and stuff that I gotta like just categorize and do the inventory for, and hopefully I can post it within the next week, to be honest.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, so very soon.
I know a lot of my classmates, because we're in documentary and broadcast journalism, we're going to be really excited to see that, because I think your work is definitely really inspirational for us to see, because we're just starting making our documentaries, but you're someone with a lot of experience, so I'm excited to see it.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
And then, so I guess I was wondering, I mean, you have traveled, sorry.
You're good.
You have traveled, I mean, the world, as you said. Do you have any experiences or like special places that have really stuck out to you from your travels, just moments that really had a big impact on you?
That's another really good question. Well, one of the coolest places I've ever been is Tokyo. Just from like a vanity perspective, like it's just so unique. I've never really been anywhere else like that in the world. Like it literally feels like you're in a scene from Blade Runner. So that was really cool. But I think to like broadly answer that question, what makes traveling so unique is it just gives you a different perspective on things. Because when you're growing up, you have such a limited viewpoint on life. You really just know like where you're from, your friends that you grew up with, your family. And then the first time like mind expanding like experience, I guess, is going away to college. It's the first time you're on your own. You realize that people have different viewpoints, and you kind of realize how the world, somewhat starts to work. Then once you leave that cocoon and really just kind of go to every single part of the world, you just see things, I guess differently. And it makes you, not in a bad way nor a good way, but it just makes you question like your own like thought patterns and beliefs and different things. And it gives you like just a more well-rounded outlook on life.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so great and awesome to hear that you just continue to go to new places that broaden your understanding of the world. I think that's something we could all learn from. So how do you like market yourself and brand yourself that like sets you apart from other filmmakers?
Mm-hmm. It's another really good question. I mean, at the end of the day, like you got to think about like yourself, for example. There's only one of you that exists in the entire world. There's only one of you that thinks the way you think. There's only one of you that has your hobbies, has your interests, and has a particular viewpoint. And you really just need to dive in 100% on what that is. Like I love to go to the gym and I love to work out and I love fitness. I also love music. I love creating music. I love film. And I take all these things that I just genuinely have a passion for and interest in, and I just combine them all together. And then that's what makes, somebody a unique individual. But it's nothing really, I don't want to necessarily say special. It's so extremely unique to me. And then I use my skill set to broadcast that to the world, that it comes off as, I guess unique. One other thing too, I would say, a lot of people, and I still have to work on this to this day, like people sometimes have a weird feeling with being self-promoting, because it feels, it can come across as somewhat narcissistic. And you really just got to say to yourself, like, if you're not your number one fan, then, other than your mom, my mom's my number one fan, who else is going to be it? You know what I mean? So like, you got to champion yourself, and you got to put yourself out there, and you have to show the world, what you're worth. And, I have so many friends who are so ungodly talented, and, they don't market themselves. And it's a shame to see, because so much more work and opportunities and experiences can come from that.
For sure. And I think you're really someone that's taken advantage of all of your talents. And I think music is something really cool, because you score some of your own music for films, and it's something that you're really talented at. I was wondering if you could speak on that as well.
Yeah, and DJ and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I guess formal. I took piano lessons and guitar lessons, or my parents made me take them when I was growing up. But, similar to film in a sense, like when I started editing and started doing film stuff, like it just, like for me personally, it feels natural. So for example, I took computer science classes at Chapman.
Yeah.
I am the worst computer science human person being in the entire world. Like it literally does not make sense to me. Like I cannot process that information. Film and music, for whatever reason, like it just 100% clicks, and I like can see it as clear as I can see you on the screen, So, the film thing, I've just spent a lot more time cultivating my skill set and expertise than the music stuff. But like with anything, it's just practice, dude. Like you don't sit down at a piano and like are immediately good at it. You look up tutorials, you figure out how to do stuff, and like I've been a big advocate of just, compounding your skill sets every single day. Like you just need to learn something every single day, get a little bit better, and like 10 years is going to flash by and you'll be where you want to be.
Absolutely. And like, what are some of your keys to consistency? Because I think it seems like that's a big theme in a lot of areas of life with the gym, filmmaking, just everything. So I was wondering, what are some of your, keys to that?
The honest answer is it doesn't matter how you feel. You just got to get up and do it. And motivation isn't, you can't wait for motivation. So I'm going to be honest, dude, I wake up and there's so many days I do not want to go work out. I do not want to sit at this computer and edit. I do not want to go film. I do not want to get on calls. I don't want to like negotiate. I don't want to do any of this stuff. But like, as a man and somebody who's trying to like realize their dreams come true, like it doesn't matter how you feel. You got to wake up, you got to be disciplined. You just got to do what you're supposed to be doing. And there's really like, there's no like antidote, I guess, to that. You just do it and you get it done and try not to think about it. That doesn't mean you don't feel emotions and you don't feel things. You definitely feel, happy, sad, all the range of emotions. It's just, you got to learn to be able to like separate that from like the job that you're supposed to do and get done.
Absolutely. This is kind of, a little bit of a segue, but do you like enjoy being your own boss?
Dude, after GoPro, I said I could never work for anybody ever again for the rest of my life. Like there's zero shot. And that's not to say that that's the best avenue for everybody. There's absolutely nothing wrong with, a standard job or having a boss or being in a huge company. Just for me personally, like I just love being an entrepreneur and doing things on my own time, and having my freedom. I like really value that.
For sure. It definitely seems like an area that's growing for a lot of people, and I think that's going to be a choice that a lot of people will continue to make and do great things in. Besides the gym and running, because I know you also do a lot of running.
I run.
Is there anything else that you like to do to kind of stay grounded and relaxed when things get crazy? Having
solid friendships and a solid connection with your family is really, really, really important. Because life is chaotic and it's stressful. And it's good to have people that you can talk to, people that, can build you up when you're feeling down, or when you're feeling too full of yourself, can bring you back to reality, So yeah, just being really conscious of my like sphere of people in my life and who I'm talking to. And, like when you're hanging out with people and choosing friends, so to speak, like, you should feel inspired after you hang out with them, and they should make you want to achieve more and be more and go after things, and they should build you up. And I'm just really, really conscious of that.
Absolutely. And so do you tend to surround yourself with other creatives?
I would say it's pretty split.
Mhm.
Honestly, a lot of my friends have nothing to do with creativity. They work in finance or VCs or accountants or do like managerial stuff for different companies. And then I have like the creative side. It's just like you get something, not that you have to get anything out of a friendship, but like the friendships they have different values for different things. Like when I go to my creative friends, we're talking about creativity and we're talking about like film and art and all this shit.
Mm.
And then when I'm with like the finance guys, we're talking money and growing and investing, and they all serve a very different purpose.
Absolutely. That's really interesting to hear. Yeah, I guess just to wrap up the interview section, I was wondering if there is a piece of advice or any advice that you would give to your freshman year self at Chapman, or your younger self.
The second part to your question that I would give to people in college or freshmen would be to not waste your youth. Like, you have to understand that how old are you? You're 19?
I'm 19.
Bro, from 19 to 24, 25, you do not understand how much energy, creativity, passion, like, you possess. Like, it's unbelievable. You can sleep for an hour and wake up the next day and just be firing and ready to go. I'm not that much older. I'm 29, but I guarantee you after 25, 26, that shit starts to decline. Mm-hmm. So take advantage like of your youth and of your years, and just put yourself out there. Like, when things feel uncomfortable, that's a signal in your brain that it's an area of your life that you need to grow in. Whether it's business, finance, friendships, romantic relationships, all those things. So just take advantage of your youth and don't piss it away, because so many people do. And then the advice I'd give my younger self would be, there's a lot of like, when you maybe look at my life, or maybe you don't, but like, might look like this, just straight upwards trajectory, right? But the reality is there's ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and the highest highs and the lowest lows that you could possibly ever imagine. And, that's just a part of the process. And, I think a lot of times, probably throughout my 20s, I would hold on to negative emotion a lot more than I needed to. And granted, like, that was the fuel for a lot of different things. But like, I would tell myself, like, just let go of shit. Like, things that aren't serving you and making you better, and things that are bringing you down mentally, emotionally, creatively, everything physically, you just have to let that go. Because the sooner you can mentally let that go, the further you'll get faster.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I'm Wells Goltra, Broadcast Journalism 103. Matt, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course.